Hi there. So, in keeping with the presentation on the UTR Universal Tennis Rating platform about life in the post-COVID world and how big point player training helps you in the post-COVID world, I'm going to do a series now of posts and letters to yourselves. So, this first one is about building resilience. And before we get into how we do build resilience, just to say that one of the reasons, and apologies, you haven't heard from me for 3 weeks. So I do this not of duty, I do this because of passion and I love doing it. But nevertheless, it's been 3 weeks. And partly it's caused by the whole slippage to do with COVID. Life is just more difficult getting things done. And secondly, I've been spending an immense amount of effort, repivoting and doing masses around big point player, which you'll find out later. And then secondly, from nowhere and with nothing, creating what should be the industry leading summit to stop this sport dying. And it's called Build Tennis Postcode by Postcode. And masses has been happening around that. And the point of telling you about that is that anybody could have done it. Any one of you, nothing special about me. I have no credentials, I have no authority in the centre of the sport, but it's always occurred to me that the average age of tennis is getting older and dying. It's always occurred to me that many juniors fall out the sport, and it became really crystal clear over the last few weeks that the whole journey from playground to podium is inefficient, if not corrupt, and certainly leaking people. And somebody had to do something about it, and I made it me. So many points about that is that a year or two ago, I would have thought myself not worthy, not good enough, not enough belief. Secondly, I used all the big point player training, the trust method to make it all happen. And it comes straight out of resilience. So now into resilience. And I just wanted to tell you that because it exemplifies what we're talking about, and the trust method helped me do it, and the trust method and resilience will help you do whatever you want to do in the post-COVID world, at the same time making you a player more capable of closing out points. So 3 things. 1, resilience is a subset of self, which is part of trust. So it is a big deal, but it's only part of much bigger deals, okay? Possibly the key thing to know about resilience is that I reckon if I asked every one of you, are you resilient? You'd go, yes, of course I'm resilient. And we all think we're resilient. But the point is that resilience only kicks in when you have nothing left. When you are physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially exhausted, that's when you find out whether you've got resilience. And the chances are, when you need resilience, it went a long time ago. And that's why when the military train everybody, but particularly when you're the elite and you go for SAS selection, and you are all the best of the best and superhuman in mental, emotional, fitness, spiritual, all the rest of it. Job 1, day 1 is to get you to exhaustion, mental, physical, emotional exhaustion. Then the training starts. So that's the first thing. Then understand that probability is you are not resilient because you haven't trained it. Now let's get into 2 things that resilience are and why they are interconnected. So firstly, we would probably all think that resilience is to do with endurance, the ability to outsuffer your opponent, and in the post-COVID world, just to suck it up and suffer. And there's a role for that, clearly. There is a role in those long endurance points or getting to the end of a tight ebb and flow three-setter of being mentally, physically, emotionally able to outsuffer your opponent. In the long rally, get one more ball back. Get a return from all that investment that you've put into the long rally and kick on, while the other person gets zero ROI for all that same investment and may well fold. There's a real good point about that. Me personally, I choose not to play that game. I don't play the endurance game on the tennis court. I play, if the rally's gone more than 5 or 6 shots, you have the point. And there are very good tactical and mental and emotional reasons for that, but we'll go about that on another day. The second point about resilience, rarely talked about, and in my mind the most important point, is the ability to bounce back quickly from adversity. It's our choice. Do we want to bounce back quickly? Do we want to be a martyr? Do we want to wallow in the unfairness of it for 1 point, 1 game, 3 games, 1 set, 1 match? It's our choice. And we train, and clearly the more exhausted you are on the first resilience, the more you are susceptible to the lack of bounce back resilience for the second part. They're linked, yes? Tired, exhausted, easy slip into woe is me, martyr, how unfair the world is, I shanked that when I shouldn't, it bounced off the net when it shouldn't, there was a bad line call when it shouldn't, and all these can affect you, and you only need 1 or 2 points, and a 50-50 match suddenly becomes game, set and match to your opponent. So both these aspects of resilience are not martyrdom and suffering. These are ambitions and aspirations, okay? How can you seek opportunity and excitement in these aspects of endurance and bounce back ability? Because unless you can see these situations as opportunity rather than disaster, you're toast on the court and off the court. So we train this on court in a number of ways. First of all, of course, we play our patterns. I would normally do our warm-up with 5 minutes of specific activity with 5 minutes of rest, and after 10 minutes everybody's hanging. We've only done 2 meters this way and the other, and our 3 exercises absolutely replicate the movement on the court. And the quicker you are and the better you are and the stronger you are, then I'll give you weights to carry those 3 same exercises. So we start after 10 minutes exhausted. Then we do our drills and under pressure, and we have 9 components of pressure, and one of them is to replicate dynamic physical activity in between the 25 seconds. And then when that's happening, I will insidiously and subtly, because if it's obvious it won't work, occupy space in our students' minds. Some say it's irritation. We say it's fun. But the point is, can I play with your mind? Can I get thoughts, feelings, and emotions to dictate to you? Or do you have, or are you able to dictate to thoughts, feelings, and emotions? It's really simple. So we will train harder in practice than it is in a match, so that match feels easier than practice. And if you don't do all these things under pressure in practice, then the first time you come across them is in a match. Under pressure, critical moments, you need resilience, and you find that your fair weather friend disappeared a long time ago because you haven't trained it. And all these things are applicable off the court. Find a big problem that's shared by a lot of people. Get to the heart of the problem. Find the tactics to salute it. What are the repetition of new skills to train to execute the tactics? Do it under simulated pressure, and COVID gives you that pressure every single day. Training self and belief. Who are you? And then the control of your thoughts and feelings every day that are determined to bring you their way and then derail you. So that is building a resilience. And next week we'll get into possibly the key thing of building resilience, which is controlling your breath and breathing. So I hope that was useful. I will be with you next week, COVID slippage or not. And in the meantime, watch out for the new things on Big Point Player and Between the White Lines, the determinate summit in tennis to stop tennis dying.